Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about my three Finalmouse that I own, how they've held up, and whether I'd recommend them in the big 2025. Three mice I own is obviously the ULX Phantom. It was the second batch of it, so it had some extra QC issues or QC fixes and all that stuff. It wasn't that big of a change, but it was worth the wait. My second one, another Phantom, the Starlight 12 Phantom. This was the second one ever dropped, and since it was Finalmouse's our second try at Metal Mice, it's okay. It's not bad. And then obviously the most refined Starlight 12, the Last Legend. This is hands down the best Starlight that they've ever made. Mostly consistency wise, I not many people had many issues with this, so yeah. If I was gonna recommend, if you wanted to buy a metal mouse, I would tell you you'll look elsewhere, like Beast X and Ponage. They all make some metallic mice. I know Pulsar is making one as well. So don't buy a used Starlight. Go buy something new instead. They're probably like the same price at this point. Starting off with the ULX. I've never done a review on this directly before. I've only like mentioned it in other videos. So this is pretty much gonna be kind of like a review and then a comparison to the other two. That's how this is gonna be structured. So starting off, the Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, they've lasted perfectly. Something I can't say with this mouse. I know they have the Omrons. They have like a different type of tuned Omron in it. They were going to have the KL 8.0s that this mouse had, but they got rid of them. They stuck with the Omrons through with the Starlight 12 Last Legends when they switched back to Omrons. Some sort of deal. So they stuck with it here. They're well defined. They have a good feel to them. They're a bit lighter than the older G Pro Superlight. I don't know about the Superlight 2. I've never owned one. And the reason being is that it's made out of carbon composite and the way they structure the chassis as well. And the last thing is there's no double clicking issue. Thank God. There's no double clicking on this mouse. I know that's something that happened with the KL 8.0s. That's probably why they switched off of them, to help with that. Because I'm guessing they maxed out what they could do to prevent double clicking with the way they made their mice. Moving on now to the scroll wheel. It's got a perfectly defined notchiness to it. It's not too heavy or loud, but it's not too light and too smooth. You know, sometimes like on some mice where when it has like some notch to it, but it's not enough, so it just feels kind of sloppy. That's what happens with this mouse. This is way too sloppy of a scroll wheel. It just doesn't feel that premium. This is a good middle ground between these two. This one's too heavy, this one's too light. And it looks like they just kind of made good refinements. It is, if you're wondering, it is completely centered in the middle. Yeah. Sorry, I need to clean this mouse, and I need to clean this mouse back. I'm getting on that. It doesn't get stuck in the middle at all. Every once in a while it gets stuck, but it will still register on the website or whatever I'm scrolling on. If it just gets out, just notch it back up, it's fine. It doesn't happen enough that it's too annoying. The side buttons are pretty well designed. I would not say they're not too mushy like they can be on older Starlights or on the G Pro. That thing is well known for having mushy side buttons. I have to go off the spot now. The front side button is having a crunching issue now. I can push it in, and it pushes in twice to register. That is so weird. The backside button's fine. That one's crisp. That one's good. It's not mushy. The front one is now having an issue where it doesn't feel premium at all. Okay, so the issue that's actually happening is the support part in the back of this mouse here. Little piece of plastic that holds the two side buttons up to this part of the mouse. Holds it square with the chassis. That part is flexing on the front, causing this front side button to creak and click in weird. That is okay. I know what that's from. This was not an issue before. I dropped my mouse like last month. It fell off my desk. That's what it's from. If you don't, okay, so this mouse also has the same issues these mouse have. They aren't tanks. They don't last. If they fall, they will probably end up breaking in some way, shape, or form. Just be careful on that. Don't drop them. You'll be okay. But if you're clumsy, maybe look somewhere else. And one more thing I want to touch on is the side buttons are not the best if you're always actively clicking them like Fortnite, because they're a little bit too forward. So depending on how you hold your mouse, if you have small hands, it wouldn't be the best. If you're casually using them, it's not that bad. But for a game like Siege, I know Apex, you could do some stuff with the side buttons. Fortnite, you're building with them. If you have small hands, just be careful that you'd have to hold the mouse in kind of an irregular way. Like for me, I have small hands, so what I have to do is I have to move my thumb up every time I want to use them. Since this is how I hold my mouse, I have to move it up to hit it. So it's a little awkward, but it's never gotten me killed in a game before, so I don't really bother. Next thing I want to talk on is the overall build quality. Really good. There's no big creaking on the side until I dropped it. The mouse holds together strong. The buttons don't creak around when you flex it. Only the side walls are well made. They don't flex. The only part that flexes is this back part. You've seen it everywhere. I don't even think I'd have to show you, but I will for the studio audience. I'm not going to flex it too hard because I don't want to break it. As you can see, it does flex a little bit. Does not affect you in game. If you're pressing down on your palm like this, that hard, mid-game, what is wrong with you? There is something going on. Fix your grip, bozo. Anyway, I covered this a little bit earlier, but I know this was an issue with the Finalmouse when the first batch was this part of the sticker. It would pick up a bunch of hairs, and then you'd have to go through and pluck it all out every once in a while. I have the Gen 2 where they fixed it, and where they have a cover over top of this and just have the sticker part on the honeycomb. So you see the average 1 or 2 hairs that make it through, but other than that, it's not bad. No issues. Battery life. I think this might just be me, but the battery never seems to last as long as it should. I have to charge it right now. You'll probably be seeing it blinking throughout this whole video. It lasts about 2 to 3 weeks on just a 1K hertz charge. It lasted about a week on 4K hertz, which is normal, and then it lasted about a week and a half with 2K. It felt like it didn't last as long as it should. I feel like people say, oh my god, it lasts over a month, la da 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 da. It doesn't. I don't know if that's just people, I don't know, not using their mouse as much as I do, or what it is, but little underwhelming, only lasting like 2 to 2.5 weeks sometimes, but other than that, it's not bad. You're not like you're going to be plugging it every 3 days, so it's not an issue. Adding on to another issue that I've had with this mouse, I think it's a software issue, is the pulling rate. I've had to knock it down to 1K hertz because on Siege, any pulling rate higher than 1K leads to your sense feeling incredibly slow. It feels like you turned on mouse acceleration, put it on the lowest setting possible. It is so horrible. It does not feel good. I had to turn it down. It kind of sucks that I bought this mouse for 4K hertz. Now I can't even use it on 2K at all. It's a little tragic to say the least. So obviously with these two mouses you don't have to worry with that because they're only 1K, but if you want to mod it, depending what PCB you're pulling, just be careful. Some games still do have pulling rate issues. I've never been able to find out if it was a Siege issue or a Finalmouse issue. Be careful with that. Pulling rate, don't buy a mouse straight for pulling rate because it could have issues. Just check your game, do some research into what game you're playing, what engine it runs off of, API, all that stuff, to then see what pulling rate it can handle. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with the ULX. Overall, I would recommend it. All the issues from this mouse are either from my own doing or from something that may not even be Finalmouse's fault from pulling rate. So overall, this is a really good mouse. If a new batch of one of these comes out, I'd 100% recommend it because they've only gotten better. They fixed the flexing issues. They fixed extra QC issues, They tighten up everything. It feels a bit more premium. It's the only thing that I feel like is lacking from this mouse is a bit of premium feel, but that's a personal preference thing, so I won't really get into that. Now, these two mice. I've gone over both of these things before. I've gone over the issues that they've had, so if you want to go see that, I have a video on this mouse, and then I have a video comparing these two, so go watch that if you want to learn, go into a little bit more in depth. I'm not going to talk about the switches or anything about these mice. All I'm going to talk about is the issues that they have had. This mouse 1 issue. It felt really heavy, and it was making a kind of a thocky noise. Didn't feel pleasing to click. It just wasn't that good. But the right click was perfectly fine. The issue, these two sides were flexing and they flexed it out too much. When you push it in really hard, it fixes this issue. It is a chassis issue, not a switch issue. When I sent it back to Finalmouse, it was for free, no charge at all, and they fixed it to like 80-90%. It still happens a little bit when I push it in. It's good enough that it doesn't bother me. Now talking about the Finalmouse Phantom. These older batches were known to have a lot of issues, and yeah, this one has some slight QC issues. It looks like it was a little rushed, flexing on the side walls quite a bit. I think it's the right, okay, it's the right wall that flexes on the hinge right here, and the left one just flexes in a little bit. Again, nothing that really affects you as long as you're not, death gripping your mouse. There's a bit of a popping sensation on the right side of the mouse. The popping issue on the right click on the mouse is a little bit worse. The click itself or the mouse button itself kind of goes up and down a little bit, creating this popping sensation. It doesn't affect the click at all. It's just a chassis issue, but other than that, it's not a big deal. Closing thoughts. If you're going to buy a Finalmouse, again, these are enthusiast brand mice. These things are extremely lightweight. This thing's under 40. These two are under 60. If you don't need it, if you don't 100% want it, don't buy it. You can find way better options elsewhere, used and new. Now, again, I shit on them, but Logitech, Razer have Viper V3, Pulsar, Lamzu have great options. I made a video on them. Many different brands make great mice that you can pick up for a fraction of the price and get 99% of the way there. Finalmouse have fixed their issues. That is shown with this mouse. This thing has like no issues other than self-cost. So personally, I would recommend buying a new Finalmouse when they come out. I would not buy them used. They have too many issues. The old ones have too many issues, and it doesn't really make sense to spend that much money on a used mouse that probably will have issues like I did with this. I really wanted this because I thought it had a good design, and I do not regret my purchase, but it does have some issues. Other than that, I think that's everything. So I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.